Man, woman, birth, death, infinity.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the Your Health radio and television program on the radio at AM 1240 KNRY, AMP's cable television channel 24, and on the web at www.ampmedia.org. Join our rotating host and their informative guests live every Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock. The purpose of the Your Health radio and television program is to help get, make, and keep listeners and viewers like you healthy. And now, ladies and gentlemen, on with the program.
Hi, I'm Dr. Lisa Hernandez, and I'd like to welcome you to Your Health radio and television program on AM 1240 KNRY, AMP cable channel 24, and on the web at ampmedia.org. I will be your host today, and my guests will be giving you valuable information to help you improve your health. As I mentioned before, we have a new feature on the show where you can submit questions to the show, and we will select questions from your emails, and we will address them on the next show. You can submit those questions to our email, which is mchd2010@gmail.com. And we will select some of those again for the next show. Our next show will feature the public health nurses from the health department, and they will speak to us about their campaign for hand washing. That campaign started about a year ago in response to the H1N1 virus that was circulating and still circulates now, and they have helped various groups in the county learn how to wash our hands, something that you think is basic, but it is a form, one of the best forms of protection against flu virus as well as other illnesses. So they'll be speaking with us next month about their campaign and how to help us remain germ-free. So again, submit your questions via email at mchd2010@gmail.com. Today, we will be dealing with back-to-school topics. It is, sadly, the end of summer. I remember just a couple of months ago talking about the beginning of summer and being happy about having warm weather and enjoying longer days. Well, today we're going to prepare ourselves and our children for going back to school. And normally you think about buying clothes and shoes and lunch boxes, but we also have to think about other things. Our guests will be talking about nutrition, vaccines, and children's emotional health. Our first expert is Barbara Quinn. She is a registered dietitian and certified diabetes educator at the Diabetes and Nutrition Therapy Program at the Community Hospital of the Monterey Peninsula. Barbara, thank you for coming. I know you've had a busy day today.
Thank you for having me.
Great. So I'm just going to jump right in and talk about the first thing of the day, breakfast. Why is breakfast such an important meal?
That topic has been coming up for years and years, and it truly is breaking the fast. A child hasn't, or any of us haven't eaten for usually more than 10 or 12 hours. It's important time to get the body going. And also for children, studies have shown that children who eat breakfast before they go to school actually do better on cognitive functions, which means better on tests, and they can better understand what's going on at school.
Yeah, I meant to tell you, I'm going to take notes for myself and for my kids because breakfast is one of my favorite meals, but it's hard to get kids motivated to eat in the morning. So are there certain foods that you would suggest are good foods to have ready in our cabinets for breakfast?
Yes, it would be important to have, easy to prepare foods. I mean, even if a child can down a glass of milk and a banana as they're running out the door, they're still getting some protein, they're getting some carbohydrates to get their brain functioning. So ready to eat fruits, cereals, whole grain cereals like instant oatmeal, those are all easy to do, or whole grain cereals that they could eat with milk would be good ideas.
Perfect. That's easy. A banana's always a good thing. What about, what are ways that parents can ensure that kids eat a nutritious lunch?
Important to have them be involved in that. One of the ways is to have them pack their own lunches and maybe even set up some family rules or something that you would be posting in the home, like saying it has to have a source of protein. That could be something as easy as peanut butter or some turkey or tuna on a sandwich. It needs to have a fruit and or a vegetable in it. And they could use dried fruit, they could use even the little canned fruit packs if they don't have added sugar to those. And then it has to have a source of calcium, either milk or cheese or yogurt or even a calcium-enriched soy product if they don't tolerate dairy foods.
So you bring up a good point, well, two good points that I want to ask about. So a dried fruit is just as good or almost as good as a fresh fruit.
Yeah, and in fact, it's important to teach children a good variety of those kinds of things. Fresh fruit, always very good, but maybe they just want a little package of raisins, and that would be very, you know, if you get tired of seeing your kids come home with soggy peaches or those things in a bag, try maybe a little mixture of some nuts and dried fruit as a snack or as a lunch meal.
Great, and then you also mentioned the canned fruit, and that when you look on the can or on the package, you're looking for no added sweeteners or
no added sugar. A lot of those are maybe packed in water, maybe packed in their own juice. That would be much better than something that says heavy syrup.
Okay.
Those would be ones you would want to avoid.
So if you had to choose between the syrups, you would go for the light syrup?
Right.
If you had to. I'm just, practically speaking, I've been on a hunt for those packed in their own juices or in water, I guess, and it's sometimes a little harder to find.
Right. The fewer added sugars, the best. They're getting sugar naturally from the fruit. And again, the individual packets is also a nice way of controlling for sugar as well, because they're portion controlled.
Yes. Perfect. So that's good to hear, because I've done some of those things, but there's some things I have to work on. What about when parents are teaching their kids to pick out good lunches at school? Should they use those same rules about protein and the dairy products as well?
Yes, there's been really good studies that children who do eat like the school lunch that's provided tend to have more nutritional value for their whole day. So I think it's a good idea for parents to go over the school lunch menu with their child, and you know, depending on what your family decides to do, if they're going to eat in the cafeteria every day or one day a week, help them decide ahead of time what they're going to order, what might be some good choices.
I really like that. You're involving the children making decisions, whether they're making the lunch at home and or buying the food in the grocery store, and educating them on certain products to select, or at school. Because that's one thing. My kids love to have that one day where they get to have the lunch at school, the hot lunch day. But they want to pick the special pizza day or what have you. So it's kind of nice to say, well, you can pick out. That's your sort of your benefit, your gift for the day, but you have to try to keep everything balanced.
Right. Same thing with their packing their lunches. It might be, instead of having chips in the lunch every day, that you're going to say, you know, Friday is when you can, let's put some chips in your lunch. Or, you know, maybe we'll have a special treat one day a week. So again, that's what the parents can be involved with to help the child make good decisions, but also help them make those decisions on their own.
And what about snacks? Some kids are allowed to bring snacks for school, and also the dreaded after-school snack that I remember looking forward to that as a child as well. What are some of the things that you would suggest for parents to set out for their kids for snacking?
Well, snacking is really important for children. They usually do need something when they come home from school. But it should be something that maybe is going to add to their day's nutritional value. For instance, maybe they haven't had any fruit for the day. That would be a good time to have fruit for snacks. And it should also be something that's not going to make them so full that they don't want to eat dinner. So definitely something that's smaller than a meal, but enough to tide them over so that they're not starving for dinner, but that they're still hungry for that evening meal.
So a yogurt is okay as well? Okay.
And again, a lot of these individual portion packs are really good for kids because it is teaching them what an appropriate portion is, even if it's a little thing of cottage cheese or something that they could have with the fruit pack.
Well, that's good to know, because that's the other thing, is that you don't really know what's a kid-sized portion versus what an adult has. So if you get those packages, it's not just for advertising, it also kind of modifies the portions for the age, so they're more age appropriate, I would say.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
good to hear. And what about eating meals as a family? Is that still something very important to do?
It's probably more important now than it ever was, because it used to be kind of a given, and
Right.
it's not anymore. I ask a lot of my patients if they can even get maybe 1 or 2 family meals in a week. So they've done really good research that has shown that children who eat more meals with their family do better in school. They tend to have less behavior problems at school and at home. And they just tend to have healthier weights as well, because there's something about sitting down and sharing a meal with a family, and also getting involved with preparing a meal, maybe the cleanup or the cooking, or again, helping select what food you're going to have, is a real bonding experience for children.
You think it also slows people down and kind of enhances, it fills you up, if you spend time together and enjoy the meal, it slows you down.
Right. We have to remember that food is more than just nutrition. I mean, I'm a dietitian, so that nutrition is very important. But for children especially, it's a time to talk around the family table, to talk about what happened that day, to get support from the people who love and care about you. And you're right, to slow down. And that is going to help digestion. It's going to help health in a lot of different ways.
You've given me lots of advice. I'm going to have to get a tip from you. How do you get kids to like vegetables and fruits? Do you have something up your sleeve that might help me?
I don't have a magic formula, but it's important to know that our taste buds change as we're little people, as we become older. And so maybe a child doesn't like vegetables when they're 5, and they might love them when they're 15. So our jobs as parents is to continue to offer a good variety of fruits and vegetables at all the meals, so that they know even if you're having pizza, we're going to open up a bag of baby carrots or whatever to serve with it. Children learn that there's always vegetables with meals. It's up to them to decide whether they're going to eat those or not. But they generally tend, as they get older and more mature, they do tend to be able to like them and realize the value of vegetables and the taste. Try different things. It takes a child about 8 or 9 times before they really are going to decide whether they like something. So don't give up on that.
Yeah, I have a funny story. My son finally liked something beyond bananas this weekend, so that was pretty good. And it's been almost a 9-year battle to get him. So you're right. It's nice to hear. I never thought about making sure that every meal you have your vegetable, no matter what, for that dinner time. Is to present it, and they're going to come to expect it, whether they eat it or not, or eat just some of it. It's also the child's option, but it's there, available for them.
That's the most important thing parents can do.
Well, a couple other things. What are some of the resources that you use in your work, or that families can use to kind of learn more about healthy foods and nutritious meals?
There's actually a couple of websites that I would recommend that I got there's some great handouts on healthy breakfasts ideas, healthy snack ideas, and that is the American Dietetic Association's website.
Okay.
Very easy to remember. It's eatright.org.
So it's EATRIGHT.org?
.org.
Okay.
Eatright.org. Or you can just, Google in American Dietetic Association. They have some really good lists about eating right, and again, some of the ideas that I spoke about today is on that website.
So do they have shopping lists as well? So you can take them with you to the store?
I didn't look that far, but there could be.
Yeah.
There definitely are some good recipes and ideas. The other website that I would recommend is a government website, and you probably know about it. It's mypyramid.gov.
Yes.
And that's G-O-V on the end, not O-R-G.
Okay.
Important to know that. But that's M-Y-P-Y-R-A. Did I say that right?
I think so.
M-I-D, pyramid.gov.
Well,
You can go in and put the child's age, activity level, It will give you exactly what calories and exercise they need for the day. It will give meal plans. Children can go in there and plug in what they've eaten for the day, and they will evaluate. They'll get a smiley face if they do good, and maybe a frowny face if they don't do so well. Some really wonderful resources on that website.
Tell us to that one again, Barbara, because that's great. It's very interactive.
Yeah, very interactive, and they keep adding things to it. It's mypyramid.gov, G-O-V.
So that was the one where children can plug in, or parents can plug in foods or their weight and to get feedback.
Yeah.
And then the first one was from the American Dietetic Organization.
Correct.
And that was again?
That is eatright.org.
Perfect. Well, that's great, because I think that more we hear about this and get feedback and more information, the better we are going to be prepared for making, whether it's our lunch for the school day or whether it's dinner or breakfast. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
I did get one question. We have a few seconds from the audience that asked about sports drinks, the Gatorades. Is that something that you would recommend children use to get their fluids in, or is that, what's your thoughts on
The rule of thumb is if a child's doing physical activity up to an hour in length, probably just plain water is fine.
Okay.
The sports drink, if they're in long distance endurance running or anything that lasts more than an hour, those sports drinks could play a role. But in general, if they're having a good healthy snack after school and then drinking water if they're participating in sports, generally that is adequate for most young athletes.
Oh, great. Thank you so much, Barbara. As I mentioned, you had a busy day. I know you were at a conference today, and your work is always busy and challenging. So thank you so much. I've learned a lot. I've taken notes.
Good.
And I hope that it allows me and my viewers to prepare themselves and their families for having a good school year with nutritious breakfasts and lunch and dinner together.
Correct.
So we're going to take a short break right now. I am Dr. Lisa Hernandez, your host for Your Health radio and television program. We'll be right back. Don't go away.